This morning is tough love for the homeless, finally real compassion, or just politics with a bullhorn. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. We'll talk failures, fixes, and where kindness without standards turns into neglect. If we tell the truth, too many American cities, sidewalks became campgrounds, parks became open air drug markets, and this so called compassion became a word we hide behind when we don't want to do the hard things. Not everyone on the street is the same. Some have hit a snag or string of bad breaks, lost a job, lost a marriage, a lease. Most people bounce back with some temporary help. But there is a large share that struggle with serious mental illness and addiction. And for that group, here's a tent and a wish isn't mercy or a shopping cart. It's not mercy. It's a slow motion obituary. So if your plan produces more overdoses, if your plan produces more violence, if your plan produces shorter lives, it's not compassion. It's comfortable for the politician. And comfort is not policy. Okay, so what is Trump selling? The headline says crackdown. The pitch is tighter. Boundaries plus help. Here are the five pillars as they're commonly described. And yes, versions of this work around the world. The first thing we have to deal with is the end street camping. Enforce no camping ordinances. The streets are not shelters. Offer a real alternative. Somewhere safe, somewhere clean, transitional facilities with beds and showers and lockers and security. And what a lot of people don't understand is that it needs to have an address. So when I decide, okay, so maybe I swallow my pride and I'm going down to the fast food joint to fill out a job application, or going to the library to fill out a job application, because you have to go to the library and fill a job application out, right? That I have an address. And number three, mandatory triage. What's that mean? It means evaluate for mental illness and addictions immediately. If you need treatment, you go. If you need treatment, you go. Not if you feel like it, you go. If you need treatment for mental illness or addiction, you go. Number four, you are given a path to self-reliance. IDs are fast-tracked. So in these shelters, there may even be a place for people, once they get cleaned up, to get an ID. Case managers are there, skills training, sober housing, and work requirements when people are able to. Number five, accountability for cities. Your funding is tied to results, not press releases. How many folks are you taking in? What's happening to those? What's happening to those people? Are they actually getting better? Results. Now, of course, the tough part, and it always is enforcement. The love part is refusing to abandon people to the sidewalk. We we all know the fake version. We ban camping, but don't have beds. That's not policy. It's a photo op. Housing first once meant remove the chaos off the street so people can stabilize. But in practice, too many cities turned into housing only. No sobriety expectations, no required treatment, no consequences. So, for the chronically homeless with a dual diagnosis of mental illness plus addiction, which happens a lot because people are trying to self medicate, an apartment and a pamphlet is not recovery. It's isolation with a lease. And if you're using fentanyl, you don't need a welcome basket. You need a detox and a plan. Look, if more tents was the solution, San Francisco would be a seminar. Structures save lives. Structures save lives. Ask any recovery community. Ask any parent who had to lock up the front door at night to save a child from themselves. Boundaries are not cruelty, they're care with a spine. All right, let's talk results. Cities that combine enforcement, services, and treatment outperform cities that just write bigger checks. Let's do some case studies. In Houston, aggressive coordination, data sharing, and swift placement out of encampments with expectations. Miami, long-standing structure with strict camping rules, targeted services, and central authority are cleaner streets and safer cores. San Diego, encampment bans are paired with sanctioned safe sleep sites and treatment access. Imperfect, but progress happens when the rules actually mean something. So what do the winners have in common? They make the streets less comfortable and treatment more reachable. Same day, not 3 weeks from Tuesday, if the website works. They don't pay nonprofits by how sad the brochure is. They pay by outcomes. Now, folks, I know that Trump's tone is blunt. I know. But the outline mirrors what successful cities already do when they stop the virtue signaling and actually start governing. Now, what you will hear as an objection are these things. This criminalizes poverty. No, it criminalizes turning public space into private bedrooms and drug dens. The standard is simple. You can't live on the sidewalk, but we will give you a safer option tonight. Objection 2. If a person is a danger to self and others, we intervene. That's not new. It's basic moral duty. The sidewalk isn't a civil liberty. It's a death sentence. The third objection, it costs too much. We're already paying for ER visits, police calls, fires, cleanups, lost tourism, closed businesses, dollar for dollar. Treatment now beats tragedy later. And tying federal funds to outcomes squeezes out the waste. Objection number 4. What about the truly down on their luck? Fast track them to shelter and work. The rule book isn't one strike and you're doomed. It's one standard for everyone off the street into safety with a plan. One more time. The rule is the same for everybody. Off the streets into safety with a plan. All right, so you want this to work? Here's a checklist. Encampment to intake in 24 hours. Camp cleared. Immediate transport. The ID, a health check, and detox screening. This is immediate. Beds before bans. Capacity ready. Clean, secure, separate for women, families, and the mentally ill. This is a reason why a lot of folks don't want to go to the shelters, because everybody's just warehousing in the same place, and it's not safe a lot of times because you have people who are mentally ill in the same place where the homeless woman is trying to take care of her children. So you got to do a lot of work beforehand, but you got to do the work. Same day detox. Beds reserved daily. Transportation provided. Case managers assigned on arrival. People get out of the van. There's a bed for them. Transportation is provided because they get there, and their case manager sees them immediately. And the case manager gives them the ID and does all the stuff. Treatment with teeth. Graduated steps. Detox. Inpatient. Outpatient. Sober housing with requirements and consequences. The work ramp for the able. Basic job placement within 14 to 30 days. Training options, employer partners. This is all stuff you have to do beforehand. It's work. It's a lot of work. But I think a lot of times people get so caught up in the group they're in, or the club they're in, or the governmental agency, or the NGO, and they lose track of why they're actually doing it. And they also lose track on how hard it is. You need data and accountability, a public dashboard, admissions, exits to permanent housing, relapse returns, because there are going to be relapse concerns, the cost. And if a program can't show outcomes, it doesn't get paid. There needs to be accountability. There can't be this endless supply of money like, oh yeah, we're going to help the homeless. And then the places that you have are crap holes. They're dangerous. People aren't getting help. People aren't getting jobs. People aren't getting detoxed. No, but you have a pretty snazzy brochure and a great presentation in front of the city council. No, that's got to stop. And municipalities have to ensure public order. You have to enforce the law consistently. Drug dealing, theft, vandalism, public use. Consequences are rehab's best friend. Now, will every story end in success? No, of course not. But the current system pretty much guarantees failure in bulk. This so-called tough love trades guaranteed public chaos for a fighting chance, for a fighting chance at personal recovery. I'm a Christian, which means I believe that every person on that sidewalk carries with them the image of God. And because that's true, I simply refuse to pretend that a tent and a Narcan kit is mercy. Mercy pulls you out of the river. Mercy says, no, you cannot die on my sidewalk. Mercy tells the truth and then sticks around to help. If we don't set boundaries, we are not rescuers. We're simply spectators. Now, because we live in the world we live in, will there be lawsuits? Yeah. There's an industry that profits from managing misery. They'll sue to keep the tent cities open because the grants keep flowing when the tents don't close. Nothing scares bureaucracy like a measurable result. But here's the upside. The public is ahead of politicians. Families want safe sidewalks. Shopkeepers want to keep their doors open, and the truly homeless want a way out. That isn't hope the fentanyl test strip works. If Trump puts a federal thumb on the scale, tying dollars to outcome, protecting cities that enforce order, and fast tracking treatment capacity, blue or red, mayors will move because the voters will make them move. So is tough love perfect? No. Is it better than letting people die in plain sight? Or while we mail checks to some failed programs? Absolutely. Before I let you go, of 4 years ago or so, I was involved with a great organization called Urban Game Changers, and my friend Shirley Huzar had invited me to come to Los Angeles to participate in two political events that were happening at the same time. One was Politicon, and then one was an inner city festival down in some part of the city, and it was great. It was what a great week. And when we were going, we parked. We were going to Politicon, and we parked off the campus. Politicon was at the Civic Center. Now, those of you who know LA a little bit, I don't know it very well, but I remember it's kind of on the same property as the Staples Center, and so we had to park off a little bit because parking costs a lot of money. And we're walking to the Civic Center, and we go under this overpass. We're under this overpass, and there are people everywhere, sleeping, sitting, rocking, people who are obviously in distress. And yes, it was like a damn movie. Yes, I saw needles everywhere, and the people who were with me who were from there was like, hey, well, watch where you're walking, watch where you're walking. because they don't want to get stuck in the foot with a needle or anything. I was wearing regular shoes, but watch where you're walking. And they were like, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. It's hard not to. Now, this was in Los Angeles. This is one of the largest cities in America. And the stench of, human feces and urine. And these people were actively a lot of these people were actively dying. And I thought then something's gotta be done. Whatever's happening now obviously isn't working. So when I hear the president talk about, something in DC has to happen, and when I hear people fighting back against it, I wonder, well, who the hell's on the right side? The person who wants to help, even if it isn't a kind, cuddling blanket, is you got to get off the street. You got to get into rehab. You got to get in a detox. You got to get cleaned up. You got to get a shower. You got to get a haircut. You got to get an ID. You got to get ready. You got to get back into life. I'm not gonna let you die under some overpass. Who's so merciful? So here's what you have to do in your city. You have to demand no camping, plus real beds from your city council. You have to demand it. You have to go to your city council meeting and go, they can't, people cannot camp out here on the street. No, just because there's a vacant lot next to this church. No, that's not a solution. We don't want workarounds. We don't want fixes. We want solutions. No camping, real beds that are safe for women and families, that the mentally ill and the addicted are separated. Back the people who are leaders who are demanding fund for treatment first. Back leaders who fund treatment first, not press conference first. Volunteer with programs that measure results, not emotion. So if you're going to volunteer with a program, and you should, find the ones that get the results. Share this video so more people see past the slogans. Because this is it. America can be both compassionate and clean and merciful and orderly. We can love people enough to say no to the street and yes to recovery. Let me say that again. We can love people enough to say no to the street and yes to recovery. That's the medicine. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. Please like and share and subscribe and drop your comments in the below, especially if you live in a city that finally got this right. See you next time.